Alright, here we go. So, I'm at the crib, chilling, maxing, relaxing. It's late. Went to the gym late, and I'm recording late. I was pondering about, the past and relationships and whatnot, and thinking about, over the course of my life, I have really dropped the ball with a lot of good women. You know what I mean? When I think back on it, it all comes down to the biggest problem, me not being emotionally available enough. That was one of my biggest issues going through a lot of the relationships I've been in. Not being emotionally mature, not being the man I was supposed to be. They had their flaws too, don't get me wrong. A lot of things you can work through when you're on the same page with somebody. If you really like them enough, y'all can work through some things if you love each other enough. Me personally, the good relationships I was in with the good women that I met, a lot of that was my fault for why it went wrong and why, a lot of it could have been better than what it was. Now, like I said, of course they had their flaws too, but it's a lot of things that I should take accountability for when I think back to those times. And like I said, a lot of you can chalk up to young age and inexperience, just being young and dumb. Even as I got older, when I knew better, I still made dumb decisions in those relationships. So yeah, just reflecting on that and what I've learned from it for the most part, and what I could do better in the next relationship going forward, whenever that may be. It matters a lot when you take accountability for who you were and how you were in the past going forward in the future when it comes to relationships, because you don't want to go repeating the same shit over and over again. If you see a pattern, you got to remember that you're the common denominator. And if it's the same thing every time you get into a relationship, then obviously you got to really do some self-reflecting. And that's what I was doing. A little bit of self-reflection. I've been doing that through the years because in the good relationships, I was repeating a pattern. By now I've learned a lot, but I'm still learning. Right now I'm more focused on developing myself to be a better man, a better person in general, before I throw myself into another relationship. Because I don't want to carry any burdens into that relationship and put all that on the next woman I deal with. So, as any full-grown adult, you should have some degree of emotional intelligence as you get older. And you should be able to use more discernment and make better decisions that involve the best for whoever you decide to be in a relationship with. Find someone that truly, genuinely loves you. They see the vision that you see, and y'all down to support each other to reach y'all goals. You should hold on to that person as long as possible, because it's not too many people out there who aren't caught up in the noise that's going on in the world. These conversations, especially on social media, about 50-50 and what a man's supposed to do for a woman, what a woman's supposed to do for a man, all this red pill mumbo jumbo as well. I feel like it's all noise. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some good information out there that you should listen to, but it's more noise than it is good information. It's a lot more misinformation than it is facts out there. And a lot of people get caught up in the noise and the misinformation. They don't know how to sift through all of that information that's coming at them and pick out what's truly meaningful and what actually works. The newer generation, and probably some of the older generations, I don't know, are getting too caught up in these stupid conversations, these back and forths. And at the end of the day, all it's doing is putting males against females for no logical reason. It all comes down to when you truly care about a person, you're going to do whatever to keep their best interests in mind. And they'll do vice versa if they really love you and care for you enough. Once you start letting the noise in, that's when shit gets disrupted. And I can say, looking back, I let a lot of noise get into my relationships and in my head. And it kind of influenced the way that I operated around the girls I was dealing with. At the end of the day, what matters is your peace. If you're around somebody that's not giving you peace, then, obviously you shouldn't be around them, right? And that should be the goal of every good relationship, is to give each other peace of mind, security. It shouldn't be a battle of who's supposed to do what, stuff like that. Teamwork makes the dream work. And if you let the noise in too much, the only thing it's gonna do is pit you against each other. Y'all gonna bump heads. Then you're gonna be online participating in conversations about stupid shit. I see a lot of people participating in these conversations, and a lot of them are so disassociated with reality, it don't make no sense. The noise is often not grounded in reality in the first place. Once you let the noise in, you start getting these unrealistic expectations. Nothing that's rooted in reality. It can fuck your head up, essentially, and ruin what you got going on. One thing I know is a lot of people, we miss out on a good thing for petty reasons. A lot of us, have had relationships with the wrong people, of course, but what got us in those relationships in the first place? Or situationships too. Situationships and relationships. What got you in it in the first place? Most of the time it boils down to you was in it for the wrong reasons. Like something shallow, because they had money, because of their looks, because of the sex. I think we miss out on a lot of good things for stupid reasons. You might have passed up a lot of good opportunities to have a good relationship, but because they didn't fit your preference, you didn't want anything to do with it, which is fine. And for the most part, ain't nothing wrong with really having a preference. I respect preferences, but a lot of people's preferences are super shallow, and a lot of people's preferences aren't based in reality. That's how we get stuck in toxic relationships. Now, like I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with having preferences, but as you get older, your preferences shouldn't be skin deep. When you get older, your time is running out, and you might want to ease up on your standards a little bit. You might not have a choice, especially if you ain't found what you're looking for by now. That's just the reality of it. And that's if your preferences are based on shallow things like looks and money and whatnot. You might end up very unhappy, spending the majority of your life chasing after something that doesn't exist. A lot of people are out here looking for a unicorn. There are no unicorns. We are human, and obviously as humans, we base a lot of things on attraction and how somebody looks, how they present themselves. It's a human thing. It's very hard to get past that, understandably, especially when you're younger. And especially when you're younger and you have nothing but time, you got room to maneuver a little bit. But a lot of people find themselves older still having those same preferences they did as a younger person. And that's where the conundrum happens. You're older now, you might want to ease up a little bit or reevaluate. Everything shouldn't be based on your surface. Everything shouldn't be so shallow. It took me a long time to grow out of that, being shallow. Because I was one of them dudes. And if I'm being honest, I kind of still am one of those dudes who always looking for the thickest chick, the best body. But the thing is, I've dealt with some pretty basic females too who wasn't shit. And some of them were good women though. Like, not all of them wasn't shit, but not all of them were bad. Some of them were actually decent. But I didn't want to stay with them simply because of something shallow. And I'm actively trying to get around that right now. Now, don't get me wrong. That don't mean I'm finna go out and wife up a gorilla looking chick just because she got a great personality. You gotta have some sort of standards here, because there's somebody for everybody. Just, I'm not gonna be the one for that type of chick. Based on experience now and growing up, I'm old enough and wiser enough to know that peace and happiness and what I'm looking for might not come from those old preferences I used to have, and maybe some that I still do have. Experience comes with age. It's messed up how experience comes with age, and you damn near don't know any better until you old and time is moving fast as hell. Like, you never really realize how valuable time and life is until it actually starts moving quick. And the older you get, the quicker time goes. It matters to really evaluate your thinking and your preferences. If your preferences are a little bit unrealistic, you might want to rethink about it a little bit. Nothing wrong with having them, but some people's preferences ain't rooted in reality. And I believe, You should really think about the long run and the long term. Because most people want to get married, I would assume. A lot of people don't these days, understandably. Me personally, I feel like love takes a long time to build. For me, it takes a long time to genuinely say I love a chick. I can only imagine how long it's going to take for me to want to actually marry. And I want to avoid rushing anything, especially if it's a chick I really like. Because sometimes we gotta put a damper on our emotions. Like, you be wanting everything so quick, and it's hard to tell yourself to slow down because you got these rush of emotions for a person. Next thing you know, you head over heels and you went in way over your head. I think there's value in telling yourself to slow down, slowing everything down, taking it a little bit slower and easier. People will say you should know within maybe 6 months to a year whether you want to marry somebody or not. I don't think that's true at all. I've heard that, but I don't think that's true. I think it takes minimum maybe 5 to 10 years to really know somebody and figure out if you want to marry them or not. Maybe 10 years is a stretch, at least close to 5. I'd even say 3 to 5 years. I would say a good 3 to 5 years, you learn enough about a person to decide whether you want to be with them for the rest of your life. Some people take longer than that. Some people take less than that. And that's not to say that people who get married within a year, that's not to say that their relationships don't work. It's a lot of them that work. I've heard stories of people getting married within weeks and they've been together for like 20, 30 some years. But the reality of it is, in the day and age we're living in now, I feel like things are different. People are so multifaceted and complex that you really don't know every angle of somebody until you've been around them long enough. And it goes back to my previous video of saying everything great takes time. A great marriage and a great relationship is built up over the course of time. And some people that take a lot of time. And some people maybe it don't take a lot of time. You know, some people learn some people are simple. Some people are more complex than others. But I do believe, for the most part, most good relationships take time. Just like anything great takes time. A lot of the relationships I was in were, well, I'm not going to say a lot. Some of them were rushed. You know what I mean? We moved a little bit too quick. And then we got to a certain point and we just realized, nah, that's not what I want. Or one person might be emotionally miles ahead of the other one. That was my situation. A few females I would deal with, they emotionally way ahead of me, and the way they feeling, I can't even comprehend it, or I can't reciprocate that energy because I'm not feeling the same way they feeling. But like I said, I believe some of that was just me not being emotionally intelligent or mature enough. And maybe it was the same case on their part. I don't know. Everything comes with time. Growth, experience, all comes with time. But the main point is just to, when you find somebody that you love, block the noise out and hold on to them. If they bring you peace, and if they see the vision that you see, and if they have goals and dreams, and they got your best interests at heart. Some of the women I've dealt with, I'd be missing. Like, it's a couple relationships I can think of off the back of my head that I wish I could go back and do things differently. And my last relationship was 6 years of karma. 6 years of karma. It wasn't a good relationship. It had good moments though. I won't elaborate too much. It really put things in perspective for me. We put ourselves in a lot of situations that we don't have to be in. A lot of the things we get ourselves into is because we chose to stay there. That wasn't a relationship I had to be in. That wasn't a relationship I was supposed to be in. I didn't have to stay in that. I chose to. And I think that's growth and maturity, to be able to say, it's my fault for putting myself in that predicament. Every time I've had a bad relationship, most of the time it all boils down to the one question: why did I allow myself to be in that predicament in the first place? And I think a lot of people need to ask themselves that. What made you stay in that predicament? Is it because love is blind? Was it for superficial, surface level reasons? Like they looked good, their sex was good, stuff like that? Was you trying to change the person and you thought it would work eventually? Whatever the reason, it all boils down to, it was a situation that you did not have to be in. So going forward, what do? Use more discernment, look at the red flags that are there, you just choose to ignore them. That's what it all boils down to. It's not your job to change people. It's not your job to help nobody. It's not your job to heal anybody. At the end of the day, you gotta love yourself more and love yourself enough to keep yourself away from certain situations. And that could go with anything in life in general, not just relationships. And if you hearing this right now and you in a toxic relationship or you in a situation you don't need to be in, ask yourself right now, what's keeping you there? Ask yourself that right now. I don't know everybody's situation. For the most part, it seems like it mostly boils down to being in a situation that you don't have to be in. So remove yourself. You have to remove yourself from those environments, those people. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. And like I said, I don't know everybody's situation. So some situations are harder to move away from than others. Life is complex. People go through a lot of shit behind closed doors. But if you got the opportunity to get yourself away from whatever's bringing you anxiety, depression, and stealing your peace, then you should take that opportunity as soon as possible. I see a lot of people in a lot of messed up situations, especially because of, kids, you know what I mean, or other family. But at the end of the day, I feel like you have to assess your situation and plan an escape route. Plan an exit. Actively plan it, follow through with it. Rip yourself away from whatever's keeping you in a nasty environment and in a messed up state of mind. I say this a lot, but sounds easier said than done, I know. But just actively grow conscious of things. And once you get out of that situation, start being more mindful so you don't end up back in the same predicament and repeating the same shit. You have to learn to train yourself to notice the red flags and the bullshit that people tend to cover up or hide or whatever. And a lot of people don't really be hiding parts of themselves. It's just you see them in a different light sometimes. And it took for you to get them in that light for you to see that. A lot of people say that people are be hiding parts of themselves or playing a role. And at the end of the day, that's just something that they say to make themselves not accountable. 9 times out of 10, there are signs when you meet a person that's a person you probably shouldn't be dealing with. Some people are good actors. Some people, like I said earlier, they're not acting. You just have to cast them in a different light to see that side of them. You know what I mean? It's just, like I said earlier, sometimes it takes time to really know a person full all the way through. And it goes back to what I've said in one of my last videos, the shadow side of people. That's why I say it takes time for a great relationship. Because the thing is, some things you can work through. Some characteristics of a person you can work through. If y'all truly care about each other, that person will start to be conscious of that side of them and actively work to either change or mitigate the damage. Because as I've said before, some things are so ingrained into people that it's hard for them to change it overnight. So the best you can do is be conscious of it so you can learn new behaviors that mitigate the damage of that old behavior. Anybody that truly cares about you will make that effort and, implement those strategies to make your life easier because they care about you. And you should do the same for them. A good relationship is based off compromise, not all this other bullshit you hear. If you love and you care for somebody, you will work with them through anything, and they'll do the same for you. All this 50-50 and the man's supposed to do this, the woman's supposed to do that. No. A good relationship takes compromise. And if you really, like I've already said 100 times probably in this one video, if you really love somebody, you'll compromise for them. You got a lot of young people coming up doing their own thing. I think if you're young, you should explore. You shouldn't be tied down. Being young is the time to learn yourself the most. Me being the age I am now, I'm able to look back on when I was younger in a different way. It's allowed me to look back and learn more about myself and why I am the person I am today, and how I can be the person I want to be in the future. When you're young, it's the time to fuck up. It's the time to be unrealistic. It's all a learning experience. But I believe all these narratives and preconceived notions that are fucking strung up, and all these everything that's being made up along the way, it's kind of conditioning. I feel like it's kind of conditioning them. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting to see this generation of younger people get older, especially with everything that's going on right now with the internet, social media, and all these conversations. You're going to really see who all let the noise get to their head and who didn't. There's going to be a lot of lonely people. Another thing I realized is I think a lot of people are so full of themselves, they don't really want to be in a relationship. They'd rather string people along, and they're more intoxicated with the ability to give people the idea of them. They don't really want a relationship. They just want to be admired by as many people as possible. You gotta watch out for those people because they think they got time. And this can go for males and females. You've ran into people who were very suitable for you, and you could have had a very good relationship with them, but you chose not to entertain that, even though they were the right person for you, because you're so caught up with having as many people clamoring after you as possible because it boosts your ego. Those type of people, they are toxic. You have men and women who would rather string you along with the idea of them rather than them give you their full self. Maybe there's a term for it. Maybe I'm a little bit off. And this is all from observation. Like I always say, I'm not no goddamn doctor or psychologist. Don't be one of those people who let the need for validation and acceptance override your peace and happiness. Don't let your ego fuck you over, because it's all an ego thing, That's a whole nother different topic, psychological thing. Don't get caught up in the idea of yourself being thrown out there to different people because it makes you feel good. Like, no. Beware of people who get off on the fact that you're obsessed over them. A lot of people would rather you be obsessed over them than to actually be in a relationship with you and treat you like a human being. I've ran into women like that before. There are a lot of people who are ego tripping, a lot of people who are very prideful. That was one of my biggest problems, pride. That contributed to my emotional unavailability in a lot of my relationships, because I was the type of dude who I didn't want to text first. I didn't want to concede after an argument or something. I would sit and internalize and be eaten from the inside out, waiting on one of my exes to text me first, sitting there tearing myself from the inside out, instead of me just swallowing my pride, sending that text message, I want to see you, I want to be around you. Because the thing is, you have to let it out. You got to swallow your pride and let that shit out, or you're going to internalize it. Speaking from experience, it has done nothing but led me to dead ends with no closure in certain relationships. I'm not saying you have to be wearing your heart on your sleeve 24/7, but you'll know when it's time to swallow your pride. Because at the end of the day, you can say you got it out. You didn't have to sit and internalize it, and it didn't have to eat you from the inside out. You sent that message, you told them how you feel, you got it out, bam. Now, how they act after that tells you how you should move going forward, because you don't want to keep feeling like that constantly. One of the most terrible feelings ever that I've experienced is sitting there ripping myself apart on the inside just because I didn't want to send that message or make that phone call to a chick that I really liked. That's how I knew when I loved a chick. And then you waiting all day for them to text you, and you like, damn, they ain't text me all day, and then it's tearing you apart even more. If you're still going through stuff like that at an older age, you damn sure got some growing to do and some development to do. I feel like once you get a certain age, you should be able to, and I still have trouble with it. I still have trouble swallowing my pride. But I haven't been in a relationship in a while now, and I haven't really been any serious situationships. And I think one of the main reasons is to keep myself away from those predicaments. I'm one of them people who I want to feel like you really like me. I want to feel like you really care. Sometimes people don't know how to show that off the bat, and so you got to be the one that puts your foot forward. You got to be the one to swallow your pride, because then it'll show them, to open the door for them to reciprocate that energy. I think some people don't know how to open that door and be the first one to send that energy out. So sometimes you have to be emotionally mature enough to open it for them and let them know that it's okay. Like, it's okay to be a little more open with me emotionally, because if we don't be open with each other, then it's not healthy mentally. That's toxic. That's very toxic. Very. And I've been through that too many times, mostly when I was younger. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who still go through it, even at older ages. But I feel like if you're a younger person listening to this, be a little more open emotionally. If you're serious about them, let me reiterate, if you're serious about the person you're dealing with, be a little more open emotionally. Don't be no idiot or no simp for a chick, or if women, if y'all dealing with a guy, don't be no idiot or no simp for somebody who clearly only there for one of a few reasons. You know what I mean? Like, if they clearly not interested in having anything serious with you, act accordingly. If you still want to deal with them, you need to act accordingly, obviously. If y'all taking each other serious, then be open. But don't be no simp or no idiot for somebody who clearly don't care about you and who clearly not on the same page as you on. And it pays to be a little more open from the beginning about what your intentions are. I know this has probably been just something people have been heard a lot, but be open about what you want from the beginning. If you only want a chick for sex, tell her that. There are a lot of chicks out there who are down with that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of them out there down with that. The same thing vice versa. Because if you don't be direct, obviously women are more emotional. So if you don't be more direct about what your intentions are, you leaving too much room for her emotions to decide what your intentions might be. And it might be way off from what you actually want. So be open. Say what the fuck you feel and what you want. Don't be manipulative. That can go for men and women. But like I said, I'm a man, so I gotta speak to men. Don't be so manipulative. Be fair. There are a lot of women out there who want exactly what you want. You just gotta go talk to them and look for them. You know, if you meet a chick and she's not on the same page, respect that. You know what I'm saying? As a man, you might find women who you want to be romantically involved with, and they might not be on that. That's very much so possible as well. Speaking from experience, I've ran into a lot of women who won't be vocal about that because, like I said earlier, they want you to be head over heels for them because of their ego, and they got the next dude feeling the exact same way. You know what I'm saying? Now you in a toxic mess because as a man, you sitting there spilling your feelings to her and she not reciprocating. Like I said, I think this works both ways. I might be missing some nuances or some subtle dynamics or whatever. I might not be painting a broad picture. Like I said, there are things I don't know, and sometimes I need to be educated. So I'm open for more education on that. Speaking from experience, that's where being a simp comes in. And next thing you know, you pouring your heart out and your money for no fucking reason. It happens to the best of us. You know, regroup, get your shit back together, focus on yourself, and there are a lot of emotional men, very emotional men. And they don't have any problem displaying their emotions, especially when they really like a chick. I envy that because coming up, I've had a problem with displaying my emotions. Like I said earlier, been very emotionally withdrawn in most of my relationships. But you got men who are the opposite. But anyway, I think I've rumbled on enough about this. At the end of the day, be good to people. Care about people's feelings. If you're dealing with somebody and you really like them, show them. Tell them. If they reciprocate that energy, cherish them. If they don't, walk away. Tuck your feelings in, walk away. Don't give no explanations. Don't make it no argument. If you see red flags, walk away. You'll do way more damage doing that than retaliating for some bullshit or stooping to their level. Just go. Save your dignity, save your morals, save yourself. Love yourself. There are a lot of complex situations out there in the world where this is easier said than done. But at the end of the day, I wish I would have told myself this when I was going through the same drama. Go. Your peace and your life matters way more. Don't allow yourself to be in that situation any longer. Just go. Might be hard, might feel like you're ripping your heart out of your chest, but you have to do it. You will be better for it. You will grow in a way that you never thought you could. And going forward in the future, you won't put yourself through that again. Some situations hurt so bad getting out of that, that's the defining moment. You don't want to feel that pain again. So you will do what you need to do to avoid that. Some people need to go through those moments in life to get to be where they truly are supposed to be as a person. So, don't run away from it. Embrace it. Embrace the hurt. You will get through it. Pray. Talk to people. Get a therapy if you need to. But you will get through it at the end of the day. This is all stuff I just wish I would have told myself a long time ago. I wish I had somebody talking to me like this. And I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people out there who maybe say the same stuff. People have different ways of saying things, and some ways get across better than others, I guess. Maybe this will get across to you. We all deserve peace and we all deserve happiness. Unless you're a murderer or a pedophile or some shit. You deserve the worst. But I digress. I didn't mean to turn this into a relationship TED Talk type of deal. I don't know. It was just on my mind, and then once I started talking more, I just started rambling on. But hopefully somebody learned something from this. Maybe there's something I need to learn that I didn't, maybe I said something that didn't come across right or it didn't translate well. I'm open to those discussions. Because like I always say, I'm open to learning. There's a lot I don't know. I'm no doctor. I just speak from experience and speculation sometimes. I'm open to education. That's the gist of what I'm trying to get across. There are people who are way more qualified to talk about stuff like this than I am. I feel like you should seek those people out. I'm willing to be educated on whatever I'm wrong about. And that's about it for this. I hope this got through to somebody. It felt like I was talking to my old self doing this. Like I said, it's basically stuff I just wish somebody was saying to me. And hopefully this worked for somebody. Continue to grow and prosper and self-improve. Yeah, that's it. Peace out.